Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story is coming from the TrueOffMyChest subreddit from LongDebt6765, and it says, I told Mistress that she got the leftovers, and she's not happy about that. Been married to my husband for 15 years. I have a great life and I love everything about it. He has a great career and I feel very spoiled. I only have to work with what I love, and it is that I design jewelry, and the profit would never give me the life I am living. I have not paid bills in years and I spend my days in my studio, working out or having fun with my friends. Our families are very close and we have a big social circle that I love very much. He is great. He cooks and cleans with me and I never feel like I do more than him. He makes my favorite food every Friday and he would drive at 3 a.m. at night if I was feeling down and wanted a burger or candy. I want to believe that I do the same with him, other than I cannot drive. Cheating on me was a mystery to me. I was in shock for a long while, but I couldn't tell anyone because I didn't want my life to crumble. Then I got used to it. I let go of the love and just kept the friendship and companionship. I want my house, my travels, and my family and friends. Everything I have is thanks to him. I got a hey girly message last month and I didn't even open it. It was on Instagram, but I didn't accept her invitation to speak, so she reached out on TikTok instead, and later I found a request on Facebook Messenger too. Then, I don't know how, but she got my number and called me. I answered because I thought it was a buyer and she cornered me. I froze and she calmly told me to see what she left on Instagram and TikTok. I hang up in panic, so I opened her hi girly text. I couldn't help but be confused. She pretended that she didn't know I existed when I seen all her texts about me. Haven't seen me when I know she has. I didn't read all of it, but I wrote to her that I knew about the affair and that she could stop lying because I knew for a fact she knew he was married and to whom. She became very hostile very fast and told me if I was better, maybe he blah blah blah. You know the rest. I told her that she could have my leftovers, the parts of him that I don't want and, according to her, neglected. I told her she could have his body and even his heart. Have the other more important things. Have half of everything else at least, so the leftovers are truly hers. Congrats. She went berserk with insults and I blocked her. I've been crying since. What do people like her want when they contact the partner of their affair? I'm not looking for leave him advice. I love my life and his love and sex don't matter to me anymore anyway. Excuse my very bad grammar. I'll try to edit and correct when I find errors, but I don't really write a lot in English in my life. Chance says, is it an affair with this one woman or are there more than one? Have you noticed any change in his behavior towards you? Opie says one woman. Oh, it was behavior that was the first thing I noticed. That something was terribly off. He became silent and had the 1,000-yard stare. You notice especially when you were very close and open with each other, but it was this smile and not meeting my eyes before looking away. I started having nightmares by then, and one day he said he was staying the night out. He never did that our entire relationship since he always longed to come home, and that it was a running joke and that he went crazy if he stayed away for a couple more hours at work. He came home in the middle of the night and he was a total mess and very emotional and told me he never wanted to stay late again. It took me a couple of more times over the following months to sneak out to the laundry room after he spent a night away and came in the early morning when I was sleeping. He usually unpacks his bags, but I managed to sneak into the laundry room and see his bag and I found the condoms. I knew then my feelings were right. Then I saw a text. The nights out became something that just happened and his smile went back to normal. Chance says, how long have you known about the affair? Opie says, 8 months probably. Another commenter says, has he ever been abusive in any way? Physically, verbally, financially, anything? Opie says, oh no, unless you count cheating, which is a form of abuse in my opinion. But if you mean that he can hit or assault or neg, then no. He's very gentle and full of praise and compliments. Commenter asks, do you have children, OP? OP says, no, we're child free. Ecstatic quote says, my best bet is She was looking to inform you of the affair in the hopes that you would accelerate a divorce. I know you're happy with your life, but you need to get your ducks in a row in the event that he decides to leave you. If you think this affair is more than just sex and it's actual love, he may be thinking about it, using the old, I will leave my wife eventually, just not now. Get yourself as much proof of the affair as you can, and consult a lawyer to be prepared. Also, talk to your husband and tell him under no circumstance you want her to try to reach out to you again. Have him deal with the crazy. I wish you all the luck, babe. Opie says, well, it must be more than just sex, or he would have slept with many others. He is very hot, and I don't think he would have problems with just sex from many. Butter says, are they still together? Don't be surprised if she tries to baby trap him. Opie says, I wasn't planning to divulge my whole private life, but he got a vasectomy after a terrible experience we had about 5 years ago. Deldapin says, maybe he's thinking let's not rock the boat because he loves his life the way it is too. Opie says, sometimes I think he knows. When he's a bit drunk or too emotional, I see his heart and it is not feeling well. You have tried says, Opie, while I hear you, I'm concerned for you. You said you don't drive. You said your husband provides your lifestyle. Well, that's fine and good. Anything could happen. He could become sick, disabled, even death. While you're having fun, please protect and educate yourself. There have been so many people who depended on a spouse that when they lose them, they didn't even know how to pay a bill. Make sure your name is on accounts, paperwork, etc. Opie says, I'm a math teacher. I can go back to work and live a normal life if anything happened to him. A commenter who was downvoted said to Opie, why is the crazy part for me that you have all this free time and don't know how to drive? Opie says, my older brother died in a car accident when I was little. I couldn't. So Opie did come back in sometime later and came back into the post with an update and said, so I was here a few days ago to talk about my husband's mistress. This is an update from that post, but I will not be speaking about the mistress here because my story with her is over. She has told him about me knowing. Not sure when she told him, but he's been hovering around me this week like he wanted to say something. And this morning he did, which was odd because he usually doesn't have a lot of time in the morning for a serious discussion, but maybe this was the plan, just to get it over with. He just came into the kitchen and told me that you need to know that it's over with her. It's been over since New Year's. I ended it. I looked at him and he couldn't meet my eyes. I said, okay, but next time, tell them to never bother me again. He said there won't be a next time. He loved me and he was so sorry. He made his way for a hug or something, but I guess my look was a good enough warning not to come near me. Not sure why his apology and love declaration made me more angry than anything else I've felt since I found out. I wanted to yell and scream and hit him, but I stayed frozen in my chair. How fucking dare he apologize or pretend to love me? I said yes she will, and the next woman/women is not allowed to contact me. That's all that matters. It wasn't a debate, it was a fact that I was stating. Then, when he hovered enough time, I asked him why he ended it. He said because he realized I knew. I asked him why he didn't tell me until she told him I knew, and he said because he is a coward and thought that he was sparing me the pain, but that he realized I knew and ended the affair, which led her to contact me. I gave him my phone so he could see all the screenshots I'd taken of her trying to contact me for the past month or so. I asked him if he loved her and he said no. I told him not to lie because I'd seen the text. He said maybe at first because it was something new and he got feelings mixed up with excitement, but he realized very quickly that it wasn't love. I said, and like me, you don't want to lose half of this. He said that wasn't why he loved me or wanted me. I said, well, that's my only reason. Then before he left, he asked me if I will ever forgive him. I said no, it was final. I told him that even if I could forgive the physical affair, once the images of them together that I see whenever I close my eyes start to fade, but I will never forgive that he destroyed the man I thought I had. He made me realize that man only ever existed in my head, and I will never forgive him for that. He left to go to work, and left me totally drained in my kitchen. Then a few hours later, my mother-in-law showed up, and I could finally cry. He had told her and his dad what he had done, but she wanted to check on me. She suggested therapy, and said he wanted to try it. Honestly, I don't mind it, and I think I do need one on my own too. I also need a refuge or sanctuary, a place I can spend some time away from him a few days a week, or maybe a week every month, and he can use that time too however he wants. Away from me without making excuses about how busy he is this night. A commenter says to OP, sounds like you handled the talk pretty well. Hope time and therapy will help you figure out how you'd like to go forward. Good luck. OP says thank you. I'm actually very interested in therapy and talking to someone who doesn't know us. Commenter says, tell him to move out so that you can have space from him, unless you need to get away from your place. Can't imagine what you were going through. OP says yes, I can ask him to find an apartment in the city and leave me in my home. That's a great idea. Nitro says, so basically he's in it for the thrill, and once you found out about the relationship, it's no longer thrilling and exciting, so he dumps them. OP said, is that a thing? How would I explain it? No, the way he explained it is that he woke up to what he was doing and felt disgusted with himself. Tabby says, I'm shocked he told his parents. What's his angle, you think, with that? OP says he told them everything. Commodore says, I think her saying that he wasn't the man she thought he was and that man only existed in her imagination must have felt like pure ice water all over his body. Can you imagine how you'd feel if your partner basically said that to you? That everything good and wonderful that I thought about you was just in my head. He's a man fighting for redemption. Only time will tell if he won't be a repeat offender. Opie said he started crying even more, but he probably thought I just said that to hurt him. But I meant every word. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puff says, use this opportunity, his guilt, to review your prenup. If you don't have one, make one. Make it a condition if you want forgiveness. Make sure that no matter what, you don't lose in this. Don't assume you'll get half unless you live somewhere that's guaranteed by law. Hope you reply saying, we don't have a prenup. Commodore says, his mother/your mother-in-law is suggesting therapy just to protect their son, his money and his assets. Don't fall for it. Hope he says, not really. She told me to leave him, or at least she thought I was leaving. The comments on the back of this one was looked like a very much everyone sucks here kind of situation, because while some people were saying she just checked out and that's where her attitude is like this, other people were saying, she was just in it for the comfy lifestyle. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Certain Garden 2868 from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit, and it says, Am I the arsehole for wanting to eat in front of the TV? I, 26 male, have been with my girlfriend, 25 female, for 3 years. I love her more than anything, and I was excited to settle down and have kids with her. We've both talked about getting married and having kids, but I hadn't really thought about proposing yet. I came home the other night and she had made my favorite meal. Roast beef, roast potatoes, all of it. I sat down, said, this looks terrific, honey, and began to eat. I picked up my phone and looked at the time. I remembered that there was a football game on, so I said I'm going to eat in the living room. I picked up my plate and went into the living room. She followed after me, looking upset. I asked what's wrong, and she burst into tears, saying that she worked hard to make a romantic meal and all I care about is football. I jokingly said, you can't have worked that hard, otherwise you wouldn't have overcooked the beef. Oh, you bloody Burke. She swore at me, then ran out of the house. I was so confused, and I didn't know what I had done. Come on, mate. I then got a call from my mother, who to my surprise started screaming at me. She told me that my girlfriend had come to her to find out my favorite meal and my favorite songs to make a special playlist. My girlfriend had done all of this because she was planning on proposing to me that night. I was completely shocked. I felt like such an idiot, and I don't know how to fix this. My girlfriend is extremely sensitive, and when she's criticized, it doesn't just roll off her back. I know she's not going to look at me the same after I ruined her proposal. Am I the arsehole? Mate, I don't know how people can write stuff like this and then think that you're not the arsehole in a situation like this. She went out of her way to make your favorite meal. There was clearly some music going on in the background, a playlist of favorite tunes and all that good stuff going on. You can't read the room in that moment. Okay, all right. We'll skip past that for now. You notice the footies on the telly, you take your plate and you wander into the living room. She followed after you, looking upset. You asked what's wrong. She burst into tears, saying that she's worked hard, This is the point where you turn around and said, "Oh mate, I'm so sorry." And then, give her a cuddle, go back, sit down with her, hopefully make it up and have a lovely time. But instead, you turn around and put down what she just done, saying, "You can't have worked that hard, otherwise you wouldn't have overcooked the beef. You absolute spanner." But after this, she swore and ran out of the house, and then you said after that you was confused and didn't know what you had done. You said that line about her overcooking the beef, and you said you didn't know what you had done. Oh, mate. A commenter says, football as in soccer, right? Because the NFL preseason game isn't until this Thursday. You're the arsehole, regardless of what she was planning on doing. That was a huge stereotype male move you did if she was the one who cooked for you, out of complete surprise. Opie says, Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. I'm a big Arsenal fan, so I wanted to watch the game. Commenter says, you're going to have a lot more time to watch the lads on the telly now. Commenter says, a few months ago, I told my boyfriend we needed to have a serious chat. We had a big bust up at the weekend, and he didn't want to talk in person because there was a Liverpool game on. Yeah, he's my ex now. Commenter says, you're the arsehole. Apologize to her. Roast beef takes hours to make. You could have waited until after dinner to start watching the game. Missing 30 minutes of football one time is less than hours of her time. On the other hand, if your partner is constantly making you home-cooked meals and you're constantly having to miss football for them, you're a lucky son of a bitch. Stop complaining and get a DVR. Commenter says, learn to read the room. Since you were so clueless about her romantic setup, it would have been nicer if you had said, oh hun, the football match is on. Would you like to go eat in the living room with me? At least she'd then have the opportunity to say, not really, I planned a romantic dinner for us and have something to ask you. But no, you just told her you were leaving her at the table, then had the audacity to tell her she overcooked the roast. You're the arsehole. Commenter says, arseholes that make comments like this are also the same people that cook chicken in the microwave, slather sauce on it, and call it barbecue. Another commenter says, you're the arsehole. Thanks for making me food, hun. Now I'm just going to leave you. Take the food and watch TV. See ya. Opie came back in with an update and said, even though I've been heavily criticized in the comments, I'm still grateful for all of the tips. My girlfriend sent me a text the night I sent this, saying she's going to pick her stuff up at 7 the next day. I decided I was going to try and make it up to her, so I got loads of red roses and scattered them all around, lit about 40 candles, cooked her favorite meal, got her a very nice ring, wrote a speech, and smashed the TV? Smashed the TV. Weird. I told her that I'm an idiot, and I was so sorry I missed the signs, and I'm such a dick for insulting her meal. I read my speech and proposed, and she told me she needed some time to think. I know right now that if she breaks up with me, at least I try to resolve it, and I know what not to do in my next relationship. I gotta say, this update has tripped me out completely. I mean, the first part of the gesture, the candles, the roses, cooked her favorite meal, wrote a speech, got a ring. That might have been a bit too soon, but then the smashing the TV, where the bloody hell did that come from? How did that pop in your head? The TV isn't the bad guy here, mate. Leave the TV alone. Just imagine walking into that scene, as the girlfriend. So you come back home. Oh, you come in, there's roses everywhere, there's candles. He stood in the middle of the living room with all this stuff going on one knee with a ring in his hand, and there's a smashed TV in the corner. That's some worrying shit. That's some crazy level stuff. I'd immediately be concerned and that's someone that's gone over the edge. But then also we got to the closing line of OP. At least I tried, and I know not what to do in my next relationship. It's like he's already done, if the relationship doesn't work. This is after he's bought a ring to try and propose, by the way, but he's like, if it don't work, it don't work, fuck it. I know what not to do next time. It's wild, but guys, what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. I'm exhausted. Now, our next story comes from Clothes in Drawers from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. And it says, am I the arsehole for throwing my kids' clothes on the floor when they don't fold their clothes neatly? So I've always been kind of a neat freak mum the entire time my kids have been alive. I always expect their rooms to be clean, and I check their drawers, closets and storage bins to make sure they don't just shove stuff in there to make the room appear clean. The kids, 16, 13, 9 and 6, are all responsible for putting away their laundry. My oldest two are responsible for folding their own clothes. which bothers me because my 13-year-old folds his clothes in a way that bothers me. He rolls them up instead of properly folding them. Ever since the kids have been home and have more free time, I am more strict about the way they put away their clothes. I expect their clothes to be folded a certain way and organized in a certain way in their drawers. I read from a mummy blogger a few years ago that when her kids' drawers weren't organized, she would make a mess for them to organize the right way. I considered it for a few years, but now that the kids are old enough, I think it's the way to go for us. I haven't had to do this until yesterday. I walked into my 16-year-old's room while she was FaceTiming her boyfriend and saw a basket of laundry that needed to be folded, and out of curiosity, opened her drawers and saw she had shoved her clothes in there. I started making a mess and she screamed, "Mum, why?" I told her she knew why. After that, I walked out of her room. She explained to her boyfriend what I did and he says, "Your mum's fucking crazy, bruh." And I peeked my head into her room, gave her a look, and she ends the call with him and breaks down crying. I told my husband what happened and he told me, "I knew you said you were going to do that, but I didn't know you would actually follow through." This morning I woke up to a note on my daughter's door saying, "Until mum can get mental help, I'm staying with my aunt, my sister's name." I text her, no response. I tried contacting my sister, who said she has no plans to return until I get mental help and stop being such a controlling bitch. My husband, sister and mum are all against me in this, which hurts. I don't think it harms my daughter. It benefits her and helps her stay organized. OP was heavily criticized in this. All of her comments were downvoted. The user said to OP, "You're the arsehole. There's much better ways to teach your kids. Maybe read up on techniques to properly do this, but also explain you want them to learn to be clean and organized versus being, and excuse me, bitchy. I feel this could have been approached better. Make amends ASAP and find better ways to get your point across. Otherwise your kids will learn to hate you and not want to talk to you. Again, you're the arsehole." OP says, however, I don't appreciate her telling her aunt I'm a bitch. To a deleted commenter, OP says, "Of course I want her to be independent, but she needs to learn to follow directions, no matter how silly she thinks they seem." Commenter says, "Second, do you really not see how embarrassing that is? I'm sure if your mum pulled that same shit in front of your friends or boyfriend at that age, you'd be pissed." OP says, "Well, her boyfriend is like family to us and knows how I can be, so she shouldn't feel so embarrassed." Madman says, "You're the arsehole. Take a look at yourself because I doubt this is the only thing that made her leave. You most likely have a pattern of being controlling, and this was just the last straw. The way you decided to act was more akin to a child than an adult. You made a mess because you didn't get your way. That's moronic." OP says, "I didn't make a mess because I didn't get my way. I made a mess for her own benefit, and she's normally very organized and cleans and picks up after herself, so this was abnormal to see." Commenter says, "You're the arsehole. Your daughter's boyfriend is right. Get some therapy to figure out why it's so important for you to control unimportant minutiae before it further damages your relationship with your family." OP replies saying, "I've never had any problems with my family other than this. Me and my daughter usually have a great relationship." And the top commenter said, "You're the arsehole. You know who acts like this? Marine Corps drill instructors. Why? To mentally fuck with recruits. This is not okay within the family unit. It's insane that you think it's okay to control how your kids fold their clothes in their drawers." The OP came back into the post almost 2 months later with an update and said, "Almost 2 months ago, I made a post on here about me throwing my daughter's clothes onto the drawer or floor when they weren't folded neatly. Well, that post really blew up. People on Twitter also chimed in. While the night I made the post, I was still in serious denial. I replied to some comments and my denial was perfectly clear for everyone to see. The day after I read some more comments and messages I received from everyone, I resorted to the guest room and cried for hours. I read some people tell me that their mums were similar to me and they no longer have relationships with them. That was truly my worst fear. I seriously love my kids more than anything on this planet, even if my actions don't always show it. I booked a virtual appointment with a psychologist who diagnosed me with OCD and let me know she would help me. I've since had about 8 sessions with her and she's been a big help. Of course, I still have a long way to go, but I've been noticing some improvements already. As for my daughter, she stayed at my sister's house and came home a few days later after I told her that there would be major improvements made in my behavior. I sat all the kids down and told them that I had the resources to not be such an overbearing asshole to them anymore. One thing I do want to address is the fact that I was usually controlling with my kids, but the incident I wrote about was the one that sent both me and my daughter over the edge. Me and her are on much better terms, and I want to thank Reddit for waking me the hell up to become a better mum and wife. I also want to apologize to anyone who I brought back bad memories to. I want to have relationships with my children until we grow old, and I know so many of you guys don't have that, which breaks my heart, but also hearing your stories gave me a big change of heart and it helped me fix my relationships and become a better person. You know, the first part of this story when I was going through it, was just one of those classic Reddit situations where, you know, they push their kid away, and, you know, the line always pops into my head on stories like this is that when they turn 18, that's it, they're gone. I mean, the fact that the daughter already went to the aunt's house and said she's not coming back until mum gets help said a lot, said it wasn't just about this one situation. And the way that OP was going in the comments, I thought, oh, this isn't going to end well, but credit where it's due. Most of these stories end with parent doubling down and losing their kid forever, but she actually made some changes, booked therapy, and basically called her own self out to her children. And the OCD diagnosis changes things too. Doesn't excuse it, of course, but you know, her brain was probably working against her in some situations too. But I really do hope that everything starts going in a better direction for them and that their whole family in the end, because, you know, that's rough. It sounds like OB does love her kids, and I really hope that things do work out in the end. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.